Indiana is quickly proving itself to be one of the best states for landlords. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Indiana. Now, I know a lot of us, we don't really think much about the state of Indiana, but like a lot of other Midwestern states, it is a very landlord-friendly place, okay? They don't have a lot of tenant protections in the state of Indiana, and I like that, okay? And this is a place that I might look to invest in the future because it is such a landlord-friendly place and I do buy and hold investing. So before I get into this article though, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know if you were to invest out of state, what would be your favorite or most likely place to invest? Are you looking, to invest on the coasts? Are you looking, to invest in the Midwest, the South? What part of the country, what state do you think would be a good place to invest? So this article, it's coming from the IndyStar.com, and it says, renters in other states have laws to protect them. That's not the case in Indiana. And this is supposed to be a very, progressive, left-leaning kind of article here. But to me, when I read it, all I could think was, hey, maybe Indiana is the next place I need to go and invest. Right now I'm investing here in Nebraska where I live, as well as in Kansas City area where I'm from. So let's see what it says here about Indiana and what us landlords can take from it. Indiana law is notoriously favorable to landlords, leaving renters with few, if any, protections from predatory and negligent property owners, housing advocates and tenants say. Republican state lawmakers even passed a law prohibiting local governments from regulating certain aspects of landlord-tenant relationships after Indianapolis tried to institute a city ordinance to provide renters with more rights. Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember how long ago that was, but the city of Indianapolis tried to, basically give a bunch of rights to renters, and the state overrode them, and they passed a state law that says, yeah, Indianapolis can't do that. You have to follow state law. I mean, I wish they would do that everywhere. That's hilarious. An IndyStar investigation into the eviction crisis after the COVID-19 eviction moratorium ended showed how many tenants were being evicted from substandard or downright dangerous properties with little recourse for fixing major housing violations that threatened their health and safety. That paragraph really doesn't make much sense. So they're like, oh, tenants are being evicted from substandard or dangerous properties. So they're kicking people out of properties that are substandard and dangerous. Like, the people should want to leave the properties that are substandard and dangerous. I mean, come on here, did you want us to keep them in this substandard property? Oh, no. I don't believe in, not maintaining your properties. I do believe in doing the proper maintenance and keeping a place up to a livable standard. But, at the same time, it kind of boggles my mind that, hey, people don't want to get out of these substandard places, We can see by Indiana's really high eviction rates and even some of the high number of eviction filings during COVID. Andrew Bradley, the policy director of nonprofit group Prosperity Indiana, said that many housing providers and landlords out there are good actors and try to do the right thing. Not many, most. In fact, I would say 99.9%. There's only 0.01% of landlords who are not good actors, okay? And those few, very, very few bad landlords actually give the rest of us a bad name. And so, even those of us who own high-end rentals, even we get called slumlords by, the morons who don't know any better. But unfortunately, our policy landscape is set up in a way that incentivizes some of the bad actors out there to continue to extract rent from low-income and vulnerable households and not follow through on habitability. Here are 4 rights renters have in other states that they do not have in Indiana. And now they're going to go over some of these renters' rights that they don't have in Indiana. And, let's see what this says. The right to withhold rent to force repairs. Only 5 states, including Indiana, have no statute allowing a tenant to withhold rent until necessary housing repairs are made. Nor can renters pay for the repairs themselves and deduct the cost of repairs from the next rent payment. Yeah, and I hate that law, okay? I've always thought that was the stupidest thing ever. The right to withhold rent until you get repairs. Well, what money do you think I'm going to do the repairs with? I'm going to do it with your rent money. So if you don't pay me rent, in a lot of cases, I can't do repairs. And when you're talking about a small landlord, especially one who owns one property, you're putting these people into financial distress sometimes. Pay your rent. So now I got to do your repairs and you haven't paid me the rent. So it's very unlikely that if you withheld your rent and then I do the repair, that you're going to pay me late and you're going to pay me on time next month. Okay? Very unlikely. I just don't think that's going to even be a possibility. And as for the part of letting the renters do the repair themselves, no. Okay? That's a liability issue right there. How do I know that you're not just going to get somebody that you have down the street to do a repair that isn't, doesn't have all the proper permits, doesn't meet standards, and then it's going to either destroy my house or cause damage or whatever. It's just, you cannot be the one to do the repairs. Not only that, but imagine, you get somebody over there and you get the most expensive contractor that you could possibly get. And I have, my own contractors and I could have saved half of the amount. Okay. This is a no-brainer to me that, you shouldn't have the right to withhold rent for repairs. Okay. But let's keep going. The right to repair and deduct. Only in Indiana and 11 other states are tenants not allowed to pay for repairs themselves if a landlord refuses or fails to make them and deduct the cost of the repairs from their next rent payment. And I hate this law almost as much as that last one, okay? Because simply put, the tenant can be like, well, the repair was $1,000 and then deduct that from their own rent when the repair, was nowhere near that cost. Don't they see something wrong with that? I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Like I said, you can get the most expensive contractor out there, or maybe you can get a buddy to fix something, and then, he charged me X amount, and so I'm just going to deduct that. Basically, there are so many con artists and so many scammers that the landlord can't trust that this is being done correctly and everything is on par with the law and that, they're not getting cheated. So the landlord needs to be able to say, if any repairs are done to my house, I do them myself or I authorize them myself. Okay, that's it. Right to a defense attorney in eviction cases. In Indiana, the vast majority of tenants in eviction court have to represent themselves, while the vast majority of landlords are represented by seasoned attorneys. So that is true, right? But what they don't mention is with all of this tenant, basically the government is going to pay for the lawyer for the tenants. But the landlord, why they're represented by a lawyer? It's not like they're getting their lawyers for free. The landlord is paying for their own lawyer. So to me, it's a complete, it's an injustice, honestly, to say, hey, you as the landlord have to pay for your own lawyer, but the tenant gets their lawyer for free. If you're going to provide free lawyers in a civil case, you need to provide free lawyers for everyone or free lawyers for no one. That's the way I see it. So each party in this case can either provide their own lawyer or no lawyer, or one have a lawyer, one not. But the government shouldn't have the responsibility of providing a lawyer for a tenant. Okay, that's completely wrong. Okay, eviction, expungement, or sealing. Indiana court records are public, which means that prospective property managers can see whether a potential tenant has any prior evictions or eviction filings against them. Most do not differentiate between whether a case ended in an actual eviction. The act of filing an eviction already harms the tenant, Beeler said. Yeah, well, simply put, that is useful information for a landlord. If I do a tenant screening and I see, well, gee, this tenant has had, multiple evictions filed against them in the last year, well, I know immediately, hey, this tenant is paying rent late all the time or doing a lot of violations of their lease agreement. Whether they were evicted or not is irrelevant. Okay, are they even thinking about how a landlord wants to run their business? Like, do you think I want to rent to somebody who is always paying their rent late, whether they were evicted or not? No, I want to get my money on time. Okay, it's completely ridiculous. So, yeah, they got all these complaints about Indiana, but honestly, I am glad that there are still some places where, hey, landlords can run their business and not have to deal with these ridiculous laws like this. So, yeah, I might look into Indiana. It might be the next state that I start investing in. And, it actually doesn't sound like a bad place at all.